Here are my two reactions for Monday Night Football. For one, for the Bills, everyone wonders why we never pick the Bills to go and win big games. This is the prime example. Aaron Rodgers goes down the first quarter, 4 snaps into the game, tears his Achilles. He's out for the year. You have Zach Wilson, who's a bona fide draft bust at this point, and Josh Allen plays to Zach Wilson, has 4 turnovers. They play terribly. His number one receiver is Whitehead, the safety for the Jets. Terrible. And then for the Jets, I just need to list off a couple people. Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, also known as Butt Fumble Boy.
Butt Fumble Boy.
Brooks Bollinger, Neil O'Connell, Browning Nagel, Richard Todd, Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty, Quincy Carter. There are some notable Jets quarterbacks that started in week 1 throughout the years. This was the first year that the Jets said, you know what? Let's go after a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's get Aaron Rodgers in the mix. And for him to go down in the first quarter, first drive, after everything we saw in Hard Knocks, after everything, I'm not a Jets fan, although someone in the comments will probably call me one.
Yeah.
This is heartbreaking on every occasion. Definitely hurts for them. I still think that they're going to be a frisky team, not a playoff team necessarily, but definitely in the mix. But for Jets fans, my condolences to you. I'm a Patriots fan. I should be laughing at you, but this is painful on so many levels.
Yeah, this is painful to watch, and as painful as it was for the Jets, there was no one more painful in this game than Josh Allen. What the hell was that? I mean, seriously, what are we doing? 4 turnovers? My whole take this offseason, I went pretty easy on Josh Allen because I do believe he's probably the most talented quarterback in the league when it comes to throwing, arm strength, but he wasn't on the same page with any of his receivers. And with that offense, we can tell now they still can't run the football. So that's another reason why I take a little bit of pressure off Josh Allen. But at the same time, it's like, we got to find a run game at some point. And then Stephon Diggs, still the guy, but I thought Sauce Gardner was going to be hungrier in this game. Stephon Diggs did have the touchdown, but he had a pretty quiet game overall. Gabe Davis, if you have a coin, flip that. That's basically the odds of Gabe Davis catching a ball, because what was his catch rate last year?
52%.
Exactly. And then Gabe Davis, talented receiver. However, if I'm making a push for the Super Bowl, I really want him to be my 3rd guy on my team.
Yes.
The same with the Bucks. Remember, Chris Godwin was the 3rd because we had AB and Mike Evans, and then Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. Van Jefferson's your 3rd guy. He's kind of in that same realm as the Van Jeffersons. This dude is still living off of getting 4 touchdowns versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
In that playoff game. But as far as Josh Allen, you led the league in turnovers last year. All the pressure is on you because now people are starting to ask questions. What is the impact that Brian Daboll had? Because he was the offensive coordinator. He was the one. Josh Allen was a project. And when he came into the league, people are like, he's talented. He has the arm. He can run it. Kind of like Cam Newton can drop the shoulder on people. He's a big, strong guy. However, needs a lot of work, needs that one-on-one coaching. And then Brian Daboll was his guy. And then you let him go. So now the guy who built the project of Josh Allen is gone. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's going to completely unravel and regress, but he's definitely been noticeably worse. His throws are noticeably dumber. And then you want to talk, you mentioned Mark Sanchez for the Jets as a first-year guy who started for them in week 1 when you went over all the bad quarterbacks they've had. Mr. Butt Fumble himself tweeted, "Oh, Josh Allen fumbled the ball because he ran into his own guy." When has that ever happened?
Oh, man. Don't ever be in the same conversation as Mark Sanchez.
So
ever.
Now he's on the same conversation. And then you played worse than Zach Wilson.
Twice now.
And like, you lost to the November 6th last year. You lost to the Jets. And you split with them last year. And that's the thing why I thought the Jets were going to be better than the Bills and going to win this game, is because they split with the Jets and the Bills split last year. So if Aaron Rodgers is there, Jets should be noticeably better. But I think Zach Wilson is going to be better because Aaron Rodgers is his favorite quarterback. Nathaniel Hackett is the guy talking about how important that offensive coordinator is. And while Aaron Rodgers is going to be hurt, popped his Achilles, he's still going to be in Zach Wilson's ear. He's still going to be there as a mentor for him. And that defense went out there and kicked some ass.
Yeah, 100%. And for Josh Allen, everyone last year anointed him as the number 2 quarterback in the NFL. Well, here are some quarterbacks that I have not seen have meltdowns quite like we saw on Monday night. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has this game. I've never seen him have a game like this game. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow played terrible this quarter. He did not have as bad of a game as Josh Allen.
He had turnovers.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has had some bad games in his career, but since Doug Peterson took over the helm, he's had better games. He's had less meltdowns. Those 3 alone. And I can include Jalen Hurts. I can include Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers, God bless his soul. I can include him in the mix. So Josh Allen, he's still a top 5 quarterback. I'm not going to overreact in week 1.
Yeah.
But this is where, when we're talking about the best, the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, this is where Josh Allen has a ding. He lost to the Urban Meyer Jaguars.
Yeah.
He's lost to Zach Wilson, one of the biggest busts of our generation, twice now. You nearly lost to a 3rd-string quarterback with the Dolphins. You've had a lot of games where you're like, how are you losing these games? Even in the end of the day, you're like, Gabe Davis, I have a good analogy of what kind of wide receiver he is. But like for Josh Allen, if you're going to be a top 5 quarterback, play like one.
Yeah.
I don't care how good this Jets defense is. You should not be diving into somebody's shoulder when you just had rib injuries last year.
Yeah.
And then as far as the receiver core outside of Stephon Diggs, here's an analogy. We talked about this off air. Last year, the Jaguars went out and signed Christian Kirk. If you remember, the Cardinals, he was like the 2nd or 3rd receiver for him. Stepping into that wide receiver 1 role, people were hesitant. But he went out, he balled, he had 1,200 yards, he played well. If Gabe Davis were to leave the Bills and sign with someone, say, like the Panthers, how good is that receiver core still? That receiver core is still terrible.
Yeah.
So Gabe Davis, I'm sorry. I'm not sold on him. I think he's talented, but I also don't think he's a wide receiver 1 or 2. I think he's, like you said, like a 3rd receiver, maybe even if you're preferred, like a 4th receiver.
Yeah. And like as far as like Josh Allen too, it's like I always kind of compared him like he's a hybrid of Ben Roethlisberger and Cam Newton. No, he's not. Ben Roethlisberger had some bad games, but he at least won 2 Super Bowls and was able to get there. Josh Allen, this team, I don't think they'll ever recover from that 13-second loss versus the Chiefs. It seems like that game had such a massive impact on them where they get to the conference championship, gets annihilated. Stephon Diggs sitting there watching the ceremony. Shout out to him for doing that. But at the same time, it seems like they're scarred from that game, and each year they've regressed. They've gotten a little bit worse. The Jets ran all over them as well. As like they weren't able to stop the run. Breece Hall was ripping off some pretty massive runs when you should be stacking the box and just, okay, you can only run the football now. Let's make Zach Wilson throw some passes over 15 yards. Zach Wilson had a few good throws in that game as well, but like as far as the Bills, like this is a team that has kind of regressed each year. We have the Stephon Diggs drama. I don't know how real that is, but there's definitely some frustration there. And then Josh Allen just coming out and laying an egg in week 1. I'm not going to overreact. I think they'll be good, but they're definitely not in the Super Bowl bubble. They're fine. They're a really good team, but it's kind of like with the Bills, it's kind of what the Steelers have been the past few years, where they'll have these amazing games. They'll get there, but when they play the best of the best, Sean McDermott is getting outcoached and they get annihilated by the better quarterbacks. And then Josh Allen has gone toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, but last year was so annoying for me because everyone was talking about Josh Allen like he's Patrick Mahomes' equal. He is not.
No,
he's not Joe Burrow's equal. And then my take coming into the season, I'm like, hey, man, I think Trevor's going to pass Josh Allen. He has a better feel for the game, makes better throws. He has better relationships with his receivers, has a better offensive head coach. And then we'll get to that game later. But I think that take is kind of on track where it's like, well, maybe Trevor's even better than Josh Allen. And maybe he's not a lock as like a top 3 quarterback in the league. So